Okay, so MAME point 166 was released today, and one of the new things added to it was a global inputs option for Windows MAME. And so this is an explanation of why it's there, and a little bit of background information, of what's going on with this. So to rewind a little bit, Oliver is a MAME developer in France, and a really brilliant guy. He, with basically no information, somehow managed to get a Sega Model 1 games running in MAME. That includes Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing, Star Wars Trilogy, all that stuff. And SailorSat is another developer who emulated the communications hardware for Model 1 that basically lets multiple Model 1 boards network with each other for multiplayer games. So that was all well and good, and that's fantastic, and that was all the hard work that they did for it. But the easy part to fix though was this. So before MAME point 166, MAME only allowed you to accept inputs from the window that currently had focus. So what global inputs basically does is just let you take inputs from anywhere, regardless of whether the window currently has focus or not. And this is basically just the easy change that was made to actually allow people to take advantage of all of the hard work that was done by SailorSat and Oliver, MAME devs. So let's just go through how this works. The insanity here. This is the crazy command, to actually run this kind of setup. So basically, you're gonna run two copies of MAME at the same time with commands that allow them to communicate with each other. So basically, for this to work, you need two CFG folders, you need two non-volatile RAM folders, and you're gonna point these two copies of MAME at them. So player one is going to look at CFG for configuration, and non-volatile RAM 1 for non-volatile RAM, and we're basically just setting the remote and local host and port for these two machines. It's basically just going to be 0000 for the host, and 127001 for a remote host. And player 2 is going to look at CFG2 and non-volatile RAM 2 for its folders. And basically what this lets you do is it lets you have different configuration for each player at the same time. So let's see how this insanity is all going to play out. We have global inputs on and these settings. So I'm going to run these two copies of MAME at the same time. I'm going to fire up player 1, or the master machine. I'll drag this guy over so we can do them side by side. And now I'm going to fire up player 2, which is a slave machine. And so now here we go. We have 16:9 widescreen Virtua Racing running on two copies of MAME at the same time, networked with global inputs so that both players can play at the same time. So you'll notice that right now player 2 over here on the right actually has window focus, and player 1 doesn't. It's grayed out. But because of global inputs, if I push tab and I move around, it actually accepts both because the inputs are global now. But check this out. On player 1, we're saying that player 1 start is keyboard key 1, and on player 2, we're saying that player 1 start is actually the keyboard 2 key. And we're mapping the controls for the game differently. Player 1 is A and D and Z and X, and player 2 is F and H and V and B. So the craziness here is, if I start up a game, I'm pressing 2 on the keyboard, and that fires up player 2. Now player 1 is waiting. Now I push player 1 start, and here you go. So without going back and forth simultaneously, two players can play multiplayer Virtua Racing on a single machine. It's just pure insanity here. So I'll just select these two, and I'll just show you this, just briefly. Even though it's really, of course, one person with two hands trying to control two copies of Virtua Racing, that's kind of crazy. But But you can see how here, like I'm starting player 2, and now I'm doing player 1, turning around here, and so you can do it, it actually works. Let me try to run into player 1 over here if I can. Oh god, it's so hard to control myself. But anyway, though, so I mean, the whole point though is that this is actually possible now. I mean, the fact that you can do this is just, pure insanity. I mean, can you believe that you're even seeing this? I barely can. Just the fact, that this stuff got emulated, and that people, these brilliant people, did all of this in their spare time and gave it away, for nothing. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. We should all just feel so grateful that this even exists. So I do want to clarify though too, is that sky's the limit with these options. You could actually tell MAME to output each one of these instances to different monitors. So if you were to really get ambitious, you could actually straight up just have linked up Virtua Racing with each instance of MAME outputting to a different monitor full screen, and actually have both be playable at the same time. So basically that's the explanation behind global inputs in MAME 0.166. I mean, I just want to emphasize how awesome it is that this exists, and how incredible and improbable it is that this even happened, and how great it is that people did all this hard work and gave it away for free, for the love of these games. It's really kind of an amazing thing. So yeah, so the next time I see somebody pick fun, in MAME, or criticize MAME, or talk about how terrible MAME is, I will make it rain. I will turn that person into salt. I mean, MAME is awesome. It's probably the best piece of software that has come out of the internet. It's just fantastic. So yeah, so that's it. In the new MAME, you can actually play linked Virtua Racing now. It works.
Select course by waiting your entry.
You just bask in awe, and enjoy, that we can do this. Oh yeah, and so stuff we have to look forward to in the future is, when the Kadash multiplayer component is emulated, you'll actually be able to use this same kind of setup to put together some crazy rig where you could play 4-player Kadash on one computer by outputting, 2 copies of MAME to different monitors, and having the controls be read by both simultaneously using global inputs. So, sky's the limit for this stuff now. Multi-board, multiplayer, it's go time. It can all happen now. All of the pieces of the puzzle are in there. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.